How are you doing, green industry business leaders? This is episode number 15 of the Green Industry Profits Podcast, where we talk about how green industry companies can grow in a profitable way. In today's episode, we had a conversation with Nick Freeman and Tommy Richardson of Wacca Pilatka. We dive into their specialty in native landscapes, their marketing strategy, how they retain great employees, how they remain profitable while growing top line sales, and much more. And before we dive into this episode, just a quick note that this podcast is brought to you by Cycle CPA, a remote accounting firm that works specifically with green industry businesses. For more information, go to cyclecpa.com. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. All right, so I hope everyone having a great day here. We have some really interesting guests here. Looking forward to diving into this conversation. Haven't yet really spoken with a company that has had this kind of background yet on the podcast. So joined us here is Nick Freeman and Tommy Richardson. And I'll probably butcher the name. Is it Wacca? Or I guess do you mind giving us the name of your company, and I guess also
I want to hear
how
your
you
take
came up with that
first.
name?
Yeah.
Let's hear how you pronounce it.
Wacca Pilatka.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
you nailed it. You
Awesome.
say it a lot better than some of the Southerners by us. So
Right.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, because I know even when I talk about with my team, every time I say it, I'm like, I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, but
yeah, it's always fun placing orders, and someone repeats the name back. They're like, Wacky Palaki? What's that? And there's also a town named Palatka near us too, so people confuse us for the town. But yeah.
Okay. And how did you come up with that name?
So it's an old name for Jacksonville. So Jacksonville was previously called Cowford, and basically Wacca Pilatka is like the indigenous name for Cowford. So
Oh,
my
wow.
short explanation is indigenous plants for an indigenous name. So just kind of getting back to the roots of the city.
Very cool. And yeah, Nick. So I guess starting with you, you mind giving just a background of yourself, how you got into the industry, and then we'll move over to Tommy as well.
Yeah, sure. My background's it's kind of interesting. So I started off in the landscape field growing up, working with my dad's company, doing like traditional mow and blow kind of landscaping. That really wasn't like my total calling. So I actually did a total career change, did the university thing, went to college, then actually went into the medical field. So I have a master's degree in physician assistant studies. So I still do that part-time and manage a company, which is kind of wild and crazy at times. But yeah, kind of after starting that career and probably during while I was at PA school, I kind of had a calling back to like landscaping and also just like wild Florida too. The state was kind of changing so much, and I felt like I could make a difference in, kind of preserving the natural beauty of Florida through my background of landscaping. That's kind of how Wacca Pilatka started too. But yeah.
Very nice. And yeah, Tommy, how did you get started?
Well, I've been in the landscape industry probably for about 15 years now. I started actually at the University of North Florida, um, on the grounds teams there, basically, and also moved up to be a senior irrigation technician at the University of North Florida. I worked under a well-known horticulturalist named Chuck Hubert here in North Florida. He recently moved up to South Carolina. But after that, I kind of moved over to more of the building automation side at the University of North Florida. So when I left the University of North Florida, I actually was a building automation technician. And so I kind of put my landscaping skills and my technical skills, and now I kind of have the whole gist of landscaping, lighting, and irrigation, and like all the technical stuff about landscaping, and also like all of the groundwork too.
Yeah,
So
he's definitely like the technical brain of Wacca
yeah,
Pilatka.
so
Awesome stuff.
The left and right hand,
all right,
I don't think we could operate without each other,
yeah, we
in
can.
terms of my design skills and his technical skills. It kind of like fuse into one partnership, which has been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, and that's I think what makes a lot of partnerships work well, kind of
Yeah,
filling
for
those
sure. Yeah,
gaps. So
Yeah,
awesome stuff.
we stay in our lane, and that makes the partnership works also,
it does. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Very nice. And now, are you both owners of the company, or I guess how is that set up currently?
Yeah, so
yeah,
both owners, I started it initially back in 2020. It was probably more of a hobby than anything. I think back in 2020, I was doing plant sales and mostly like education. Then really the landscaping started. People in my community just started asking me to do these native landscapes or I guess these more eco-friendly landscapes. And it kind of caught on from there, then with my background in landscaping, it was kind of like a simple transition for me. Then it, slowly started growing. Then I met Tommy probably back in 2021, like a year afterwards. Then that snowball just started getting bigger and bigger. Then I think we joined forces probably end of 2022. Yeah, so 23 was like our first year kind of, you know, rolling out the carpet and going full force as like this landscape company together. And we had a pretty good year back
yeah,
in
the first year, definitely.
2023. We had I think 140% growth in sales from the year prior to when I was just doing things by myself too. So then even this year we've kind of grown on top of the good last year that we had too. So it's definitely catching on. We're kind of evolving as a company in terms of like what we're doing and the different services that we've been adding. So yeah, it's all coming together.
Yeah, it is.
Very nice. And now for the services, you mind starting with that in regard to kind of all those services that the company currently provides?
Sure. You can jump ahead on that.
Yeah, so right now we provide pretty much we're a design build company, so we do everything from design to install. We do lighting, irrigation, drainage. We also do ecological restoration, and not missing anything. And pavers, also hardscape.
Mhm.
We are along with the hardscape, we also do some fountains that we have like a subcontractor that can come out and do any kind of water features or anything like that. So pretty much everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what service, I guess, are you most excited about? Maybe expanding, or maybe are you just looking to grow in all of them?
It kind of in two directions there. One direction definitely focusing on like recurring revenue. So this year is our main focus has been growing our maintenance division. I started that kind of loosely, by myself back in 22. Then, last year we kind of kept it going, but it was mostly like our install team that was going transitioning back and forth between maintenance and install, and it was like absolutely killing us because we were, it was just changing our brains each day. Like, all right, we're going from this job site just to doing a couple maintenance, and it was really kind of hard to navigate. And we were also like at a cap in terms of like how many clients we could take on for maintenance too. So that was kind of an issue. So in May of this year, we hired our first full-time, like dedicated maintenance person. So he's got his own vehicle, own schedule, and that's been pretty good. So we definitely kind of want to lean into that to kind of grow that division, just to have these different fleets of maintenance, because there's definitely a need for that. There's kind of a niche between the lawn service and the garden service. There's not a lot of people like detailing gardens or are willing to pull weeds and kind of do the in-between stuff. So there's definitely a good demand for that. So we're kind of leaning into that. Then I would say probably like hardscape too, and
Definitely.
trying to incorporate that and kind of bring that in-house. Yeah, and just offer that service a bit more.
Very nice. And so do you do any of the lawn maintenance, or is it mostly within the garden?
So everything except for cutting the lawn, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so all of the trimming and yeah, as you probably know in Florida, things grow like crazy 24/7 all year round. So yeah, there's a pretty good demand for that, because a lot of homeowners can't keep up with going out there once a week, twice a week, or whatever it may be. like the weed pressure is so unreal in Florida. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of created its own market for this gardening service, you know. So it's been pretty cool. And, you know, his background, he worked at like a university doing like managing the wildlife area there too. So he has a strong like native plant background and strong horticultural background too. So yeah, he's pretty great on just like running it on his own too. Knows all the different plants and the ins and outs of things, and you know, different pruning techniques. So it's been pretty good.
Very nice. And going into the native landscapes, do you mind kind of diving into that and maybe giving a little bit of a background in what that is for those that are not as familiar with it, and maybe why you do put a focus on that?
Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, basically because here in Florida we try to concentrate on I guess I don't know if it sounds right, but getting rid of the turf in most areas and just trying to create a habitat basically that works in Florida. So the native plants are the things that we use. It creates like a garden that some people may have to get used to, but at the end, it's basically the best for the environment and the ecosystem here in Florida. So we try to keep that going, you know. So that's
Yeah,
kind of what we do.
it's not exclusively native plants too, you know, and
Yeah,
I would say maybe 10 to 15% of our installs are like purely native.
mm-hmm.
I would say 70% are probably like this hybrid,
Right.
the Florida friendly we kind of talked about, you know, in our earlier conversation, where it's you know, that traditional landscape approach, but you're using some commercial plants that aren't invasive, that, you know, provide some wildlife or low maintenance, but working in native plants where you can too. So I think that's really kind of like the secret sauce with native plants, and like having that knowledge of native plants too, is you can work them in the landscape where, yeah, you're creating a lower maintenance landscape, you're reducing the need for watering and fertilizing, and you're also, you benefit pollinators and all the wildlife too. And to the layperson, they don't even know. They're like, oh, that's just a good looking landscape. That looks awesome. I love that. That's cool and attractive. And you're checking all these other boxes too. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you say that. It's like, yeah, well, the natural landscape is beautiful. You know, it's you
yeah.
know, I guess, you know, as much as, you know, sometimes companies would like to create something that looks maybe visually pleasing and different things like that. I think there's something to be said. I know even when I go for walks around my neighborhood, and some of the properties kind of have that philosophy where, you know, maybe instead of a full yard or of grass, you know, they've kind of developed different pockets with these with more of those you know, native plants and you know, different things like that. And I think it looks really nice. Now, do you see less competition within that service line, um, in regard to maybe just selling those services, or is it kind of similar to maybe some of the other services?
It kind of depends in Florida, like where we are in Jacksonville. I would say
So
the competition's definitely less. Like we have like a pretty strong niche, and I think we entered at a time early enough where we kind of built our reputation enough where, you know, if you're gonna do a native landscape in Northeast Florida, you're gonna want to call us. Like
right.
there's no one that's gonna do it better. Um, so I would say, yeah, there's less competition, but it's definitely growing. You know, even since when I started back in 2020 here and just throughout the state, the amount of people, even like large landscape companies that are like marketing towards that, you know, people like Earth Source and Rockaway, which are big landscape companies in Jacksonville,
Right.
their branding has kind of shifted to like this promoting native plants or promoting this like Florida friendly landscaping approach too. So, you know, I think people are catching on to it, and people are trying to enter that realm too. I guess
Yeah.
one of the advantages we have with the native plant stuff, it's a little challenging because there's like a huge learning curve to it. You know, it's not as simple as just kind of walking into it and like, all right, I'm gonna put these 10 native plants in. You kind of have to have like a pretty good understanding of like ecosystems and how that stuff comes together too. So there's a little bit of barrier with that, that kind of makes, probably keep some people out of it, but it's definitely a growing interest and growing industry.
Yeah, very nice. And yeah, the learning curve is probably what also keeps it, maybe having a little bit more of a barrier to entry versus maybe some of those more,
For
maintenance
sure.
service and things like
For
that,
sure.
which is a good thing. And I also feel it could create a lot of cool marketing techniques too, trying to teach the community and educate them on, okay, what does a property look like? Even showing them some of the final projects is probably pretty neat.
Yeah, yeah. We're doing a tour of we did a garden in St. Augustine at the visitor center there, right in downtown St. Augustine. So it was a conversion of basically a whole turf area into a big meadow and some ground covers that we incorporated too. So we're going to do on September 21st, we're going to do a tour at the St. Augustine Visitor Center too, just to kind of explain that process of like how we approach doing a meadow garden or a native landscape, and how you can implement that either in your own yard or other commercial spaces too.
Awesome. And have you guys come down with maybe facts or stats in regard to maybe does it use up less irrigation, or maybe does it introduce more insects and animals into the area? Different things that, people that care about the environment may want to know.
Yeah, it definitely uses less irrigation, like I say, because usually native plants only need like establishing water.
Mm-hmm.
So once they get watered in for a good month or so, you pretty much can cut your irrigation down a lot, So it saves a lot of water. It also saves time too. Also, I guess if you can look at it that way, from having to go out and cut your yard every week or every 2 weeks or whatnot. So it definitely does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I think one of our clients in Riverside, I can't remember the exact figures, but he was tracking it himself, and I think he was using 18,000 gallons a month or something for his lawn before, and that was
Yeah.
like a full front yard conversion into, um, I would say semi meadow, but still pretty formal, like pretty classic Southern neighborhood with very the boxwood hedges and stuff. So it still kind of fit that formality of it. But he was basically down, I think, zero for his yard. Only water he was using was to like take showers and whatever he used in the house. He
Wow.
had completely turned it off. So yeah, I think
Wow.
that's like huge cost saving advantage.
Yeah. A lot
For
of people don't know
plants.
you actually use more water in your irrigation system than you do in your house if you have like a turf line.
Yeah,
So
turf requires a lot,
yeah,
especially in Florida, because grass is not as easy as it is like in New York and stuff too. It's like
it needs
it's
water.
the rug on drugs, I call it. It's high maintenance.
Yeah, awesome stuff. No, and do you focus more on the residential? I would imagine, is that really the target market?
Yeah, mostly residential. Like 99% of what we do is residential work.
Very nice. Yeah, I mean, the commercial aspect would make it pretty interesting, especially for those companies that may need to almost redo an outdoor space anyway, maybe to even get some of those cost savings, especially if maybe the company is, into the
Yeah,
environment, and it that could be a different thing as well. So, but I think
we're here for
regardless,
Yeah,
it.
definitely here for
Give us a call. We're here for
it.
it.
yeah, awesome. But that's really neat stuff. Now, as for maybe starting with, as the company started, I think one of the first efforts, right, is trying to just get the name out of the community, sales and marketing. Now, what is your approach with that, and how has that evolved throughout the time that you've been with the company?
Initially, probably until recently, it was solely like word of mouth, like 100%. I would do, client A, then client A would refer us to client B, and so on and so forth. And it just kind of grew in that way, in the last, now that we're more of a company, we have employees, and I guess our consumption rate is a little bit more. So we have to have X number of projects, to bring in X number of dollars per month to cover everything. Now we're kind of more of like in that marketing stage where, we're kind of honing in on the SEO with Google and doing some advertisements. Social media is a big part of our advertising too. I wouldn't say we get a ton of leads from that. I guess maybe we do. I think that sometimes it's just kind of like a good selling point because we have so much, jobs and content on there too. If
Yeah.
someone's kind of like interested in us, they see that like, oh man, this is really cool.
Yeah, sometimes we don't know they come from social media, but like our client yesterday, he was like, "Yeah, my wife's been following you guys on Instagram for a while." So
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, so
Cool.
it's like, they may be looking at us for a while, they eventually come around.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. With those different touch points, I think especially, and I've heard this before where it's like, you know, if a company maybe doesn't update the social media, a potential customer can maybe look at that as, wow, they're not updating that. Are they on top of their operations and stuff behind the scenes?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
kind of,
That's just like it's like it's an easy win too. Even you don't have to be, we're not experts or anything. But just being consistent, just putting some stuff out there,
yeah, very nice. And now I know you had thrown out some of the numbers as well, and in regard to maybe how much you make per day, or you mind maybe going into some of those metrics or your favorite things that you kind of track, whether it's, maybe your margin goals or, some of those dollar amounts per day or per month or per year, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it changes so much too, because every like 3 months, I feel like we're like in a totally different position, different company. Currently we're probably kind of tracking for like around 60 to 70 for like gross sales per month, just to make sure we're covering our overhead and, making a good profit too. And our net profit goal is, 15 is kind of like our hard number. That's like that's our hard goal. We're like in an investment stage right now too, because we're working on a nursery and working on fixing up our shop. So we're putting a lot of funds into that too. But at the end of the day, our goal is to be around that 15% number, which I think we're right there,
Yeah.
So our goal is to kind of stay there. So I feel like we've been pretty financially healthy. I think, last fall or summer, we were kind of going through a transition where we were just learning, we were bringing on more staff and just trying to understand our numbers and understand where we need to be at. But I think we got a pretty good understanding of that now. But again, that target's always kind of changing too every few months. So it's always a constant.
Yeah. Thanks to Cycle
Constant learning.
CPA,
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, you guys have been great because
Yeah.
I had zero knowledge with any of that stuff, and I don't have a lot of knowledge now, but
Yeah,
I understand it a lot better.
Yeah.
But just the health of the company and the trajectory that we're on now is a big part of that is you guys, just providing us that information and giving us those detailed reports, because at the end of the day, everything makes sense when we can see all that stuff too. Because otherwise, we're just looking at a checking account,
Right.
going, all right, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. No, no, awesome stuff. Yeah, and especially with the company that's growing and a lot of different things going on, I think it's even more important to kind of stay on top of those different things. Now, you had mentioned a nursery. So what is your goal with that? Are you looking to ultimately make that into a retail operation for other companies out there, or is that mostly for just internal uses?
Yeah, both. So yeah, retail and
Yeah.
like internal use. I guess one of the issues that we have is, since we are a niche company, we use a lot of unique plants that are sometimes difficult to get, or people can't pronounce or just look at you weird for. So we just need to have some of those on hand. But yeah, we're going to open up a retail side of things too, to be able to provide some of that material to our client base in our city too. Then after that, we'll work on towards growing and wholesale.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. And and I know some companies like to look at it where maybe they look at a big cost center within the company, like materials, and trying to figure out a way, okay, how can we maybe make money off this and generate revenue? So I think
Yeah.
that's a great idea. And trying to look at creative ways to even kind of set yourselves apart and find better efficiencies. So that's great stuff. And now when it comes to building the team, I guess how has that journey been since since both of you guys have been part of the company?
A lot of back pain, you know, pretty much doing most of the work by yourself for a while, me and Nick. And then we actually have like our employees we have some great employees, man. Like we wouldn't be where we're at now without
Yeah, we got the dream
our
team right now.
you know.
Dream
From
team.
Crystal, Ellie, Jake, Jonathan, and we just hired another guy, Orban. That like I couldn't ask for a better team. They make it easy on us so we can kind of concentrate on more the customer service side, financial side, design side, but they kind of handle all of the small things and they're at work every day, like not too much complaining. So
Yeah. I think a lot of that just like having good like core values too,
yeah,
and being present as owners and being involved and like just caring about that aspect of things too. I think we've attracted a lot of like high value people too. You know,
right.
like everyone on our, I would say, yeah, really everyone on our team was someone that had reached out to us, like interested in working with Wacca Pilatka. We haven't had to like go out and really like recruit anybody. I think we tried that once. We had an interview. We're like, nope, not our style. So it's really it's a lot of people that like believe in what we're doing. We're on that same level, and it's just like this
Family.
this family unit that's just like working towards this goal together. Each day.
That's awesome. Do you think that has to do with the mission, and even as you mentioned, Nick, in the beginning of the conversation, how you're really driven to do some of the native landscape work, and trying to make Florida maybe look like kind of in its native form, I guess. Do does your team share that philosophy as well?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think on every level. I mean, that's what we look for too. More than anything, if I'm talking with someone, are they a good communicator? Just good people skills. Like, is this someone I want to work with every day?
Right.
Would this guy be my friend? Or, would I invite this guy into my house to meet my family type of thing? Then yeah, just those core beliefs, I think that's like 90% of the way.
Yeah.
Even if you've never picked up a shovel before, you can learn so many of those like labor skills and those technical skills. But if you don't have like that core foundation, it's it's not gonna work.
One of the questions are like, do they take hikes or do they walk down nature trails? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also we do like
simple things like
quarterly
that,
meetings too, like nature outings. Each quarter, we take a day off, we get together, we have a boring meeting for an hour or two. Then we'll pick a different destination in Florida, and that kind of keeps things exciting too, where it brings everybody together.
Wow.
You kind of break up the monotony of working every day, and it's again something that we all love. We all love being outside and going to these different state parks or going to a different spring or something too. So that just kind of like reinforces like the whole ethos of the company.
Wow. And here I was thinking earlier in the conversation, wow, this is a great selling point, and really separating yourselves, having a barrier to entry in regard to some of the services being provided on the sales side. But now hearing what you guys are mentioning in regard to taking on a team and building a team and using that as kind of like that shared vision within the team, that seems like an awesome mix.
Yeah.
And I think because
So
here
far.
you guys are saying, you guys are loving your team, where the reality in the green industry many times is, I think companies really struggling to put together a team. And, I think
Yeah,
as
we went through that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it took some like reflection and building time to get to that point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some people didn't make it, so we had to get rid of some people because they just didn't fit the core values and
yeah, but I think it coming down, if you create that strong culture, it's going to help attract a lot of the people that you want to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we're at a spot right now where it's like it's fun every day to show up. We don't have those headaches that we were having even just a year ago
Right.
with simple things, and everyone is just like, in stride.
Yeah. Tuned in.
Totally in stride.
Yeah, very nice. And as for the future, I guess, where are you looking to kind of take this momentum? Like what do you like what are your goals within these next few years and maybe your ultimate goal with the company as well?
So I mean, of course, growing the landscape design part of things too. We want to be, the number one stop for a landscape designer in Jacksonville. So, people may not even know they're doing a Florida friendly landscape or anything, but they're going to look up, the number one designer in the city, and that's going to become the new standard. So that's probably, goal number one. Then, working on the retail center, getting that built up, and maybe having a second location within the city, and just growing I guess the distribution side of the plant material too. So more people can get access to it, homeowners and landscapers. So I think that's something that's like so critical that's missing, is just having that material. Like, more landscapers probably would do it if they could just drive down the street and, pick up a pallet of Elliot's love grass or something. But, if they got to drive 3 hours to get it, and, that's like a huge barrier to, getting that into people's yards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you had touched on as well some of the top line sales growth. Um, Now, what what do you think has also helped you guys in regard to growing in a profitable way as well? Because I think a lot of companies grow top line, but
Mhm.
sometimes that doesn't also translate to the bottom line as well.
I guess just adding more services and having that craftsmanship that we kind of promote and market.
Yeah.
And yeah, you gotta have, like, you can be a great design build team, but the build part is the most important, because the end product is what is going to make the client please, and it's what's going to get everyone else, involved and looking about, oh God, those guys did a great job. So
Yeah.
just kind of, that's one of our core values, is craftsmanship, and just adding on services that we are comfortable with and that we know that we can, give the client what they deserve. So
Yeah. But on my end, probably job costing. Like the Google Sheets Nazi,
Right,
I try to pay really close attention to kind of forecasting before we go into a job. Like, all right, what are the expenses going to be? What are our labor man hours going to look like for this type of job? Then, you know, plugging those numbers in afterwards, reflecting on it, and going, all right, did this match up, or did we deliver what I was anticipating initially? And if you do that enough times, you kind of get a sense of like what you need to do for pricing and stuff too. So, you can kind of catch those dips early. Then, it kind of goes along with you guys. So, if I'm tracking that, then, you guys are bringing up that data to me as well. We're able to kind of stay at a level where we need to be and make those changes before it's like total crisis mode. So yeah, job costing is one of the big things on my end for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to get granular with some of those items for sure.
Yeah, you have to.
And now, as for tech stack, what technology and software are you guys using?
Nothing too fancy. We use PandaDoc. I don't know if you ever heard of that. That's like for
Sure.
our proposals. Because we're able to kind of create like a unique template that we can use on there, and you can do some like forecasting in terms of like your costs and everything, and it's kind of like Adobe where the clients can sign off, and it looks nice and professional. It's just an electronic document you can send them, so that's been pretty good. You know,
we have
Gusto for our
Gusto.
payroll. I think you guys referred us to them. They've been pretty great. They
Sure.
simplified, um, payroll software.
Also,
That's what it is.
Pro Landscape. We have that
Oh yeah,
software. Yeah,
for design
that kind of
software.
design software. QuickBooks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, not a whole lot. We try to, keep it simple, stupid, and really
Yeah.
not try to implement things until there's like a proven need for it.
Right.
I test different things sometimes. I'll test different apps or whatnot just to see if it's going to make our life more efficient. But yeah, if the numbers don't make sense and it's not something we're going to use a lot, we don't do it. Oh, we forgot the big one.
Trello.
Trello.
Yeah, Trello.
Oh,
Uh,
Trello.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Trello's been great for us. We looked at things like Jobber, but I don't think it really fits our model as well, or maybe with our volume as
Yeah.
well yet. So Trello's been really good, just a free software that we use. And I have that medical background, so I basically have, my patient cards, my client cards for everyone, all of our maintenance clients, all of our installs. We have a whole history on that person. So as soon as we make contact with you and do the install and transition into maintenance, we have your entire history and photos of everything that we've ever done, which has made things pretty efficient too, because it's organized. We got everything lined up where it needs to be nicely. So yeah, Trello's been really good for us.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think companies that are even using some of the field management softwares, I think using something like Trello to help even manage maybe even just some of the administrative things going on in the company and
Mhm.
tracking, okay, what are some
And we do
tasks
that
that
too. We have a file for like, insurance that's expiring or something. Because you can make all these different columns and it just, yeah, keeps you organized.
that's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. And we actually recently actually switched to Trello a couple weeks ago. So
Oh,
Oh, cool,
yeah,
nice.
definitely a fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, great stuff. I think it's a lot of those behind the scenes things that allows companies to kind of continue to grow. So that's awesome to hear, and thanks for sharing those items. Now, starting with you, Tommy.
hmm
Before we kind of close out here, I guess anything else you'd like to leave the community with in regard to any advice or guidance or anything you've learned along the journey here?
Oh yeah, I guess one of my sayings is nature as a whole is like immortal, so treat it as such. We try to implement more like native plants, but not just because of how beautiful they are, but also because of the insects and the pollinators and and the water saving. So I would say just get back to nature. It's kind of our slogan. So that would be what I would leave with the community and call
Awesome.
it if you're trying to get back into nature.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And Nick, how about you?
One of my big things that I'm always preaching is, just be curious, just keep learning too. I think that makes this industry in particular like really interesting for me, and I think my team too, because I kind of preach that where each day is like this new opportunity to kind of learn something and bring something to a table and change something for a client like in a pretty impactful way, even if it's just like educating them too. So I think, yeah, big thing is just be curious. So if any other landscapers are out there that are kind of maybe in a rut doing the same thing too, start being curious, start picking up on new different things, or changing up how you approach the landscape, and just trying to find ways to make it more eco-friendly and get your clients more involved in the yard, and make it a healthier place.
Awesome stuff. And what's the best way people can reach out if they have any questions?
You can go to our website, which is www.waccapilaka, which is WACCAPILATKA.com. Or you can email me at letsgrow@waccapilaka.com, or give us a call,
Yeah.
send us a letter, whatever you prefer.
Follow us on Instagram also at Wacca Pilatka.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
check
Very
out
nice,
some of
guys.
our interesting jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, thanks for joining me here. I I was taking a full page of notes here, and I really appreciate you joining. But hope you guys have a great rest of your day. All right.
You too.
Thanks.
I
You
appreciate it,
too.
Joe.
See you.